Okay. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and just get started because we can't wait. And there will be people straggling in here, and we apologize about that. I should have given more directions about this, but now you know for next year. In fact, we do these trainings before our shows because we love working with DJ and her team. They are amazing, and they can help you with any kind of booth trade show question you have. So between calling her for as a resource, she's a great resource, and you can talk to us. We'll get you all set up with whatever you need. But I'm Stacy with the Wedding Expo, and there's Scott with Wedding Expo. Yeah.
You have to come
We're
on
still trying
screen.
to. We're still trying to.
Can't see you.
Yeah. So, and this is DJ Hecate and Stephanie Peterson. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. How everybody
And
on screen too.
we've worked with them for years because we want you all to be prepared, and there's no one better in town, in the region, in the country than DJ. We've worked with her for years because she really is awesome at helping you all. And it goes beyond just being here to help you now. She's here, as I said, as a resource after and during. She and her team, a lot of her team will come to the show and can help you out live time. She's done that before and had phenomenal results with helping you figure out how to navigate working with these couples. So with no further ado, and I'm very proud to say we've worked with her for way too many years that DJ and I will not admit to. So anyway, and welcome on screen. Maha, it's great to meet you. Hi. Anyway.
All right.
DJ.
So I'm going to introduce Stephanie really quick. Stephanie's been here year 8, 7, and starting year 8. So she's our business development person. I found her from another job. I did not coach her. I got her. And ever since she came on, she's really helped take our local level to the next level so I can focus more on national, because we're about 70% national and 30% local. So it's really cool. And she's going to talk a lot. We're going to share this presentation because I think you're going to find a lot of value on this. And here's the cool thing. Yes, we have a presentation, but I don't want it to be canned. What I want each one of you to do, and online, ask Ashley questions, okay? I want to know what you need to know. So if we're on a particular slide and you got a pressing question, just raise your hand, we'll stop, we'll answer it. We're going to try to stay on time as much as we can. We're going to go over 3 different areas for face-to-face events. Some of them are about trade shows. How many of you go to trade shows? Okay, so it's going to be a mixture of the expo, and then it's also going to be about trade shows. So I wanted to introduce Stephanie.
And I'm going to introduce DJ Hecate. She is an author of 2 books, as well as a national speaker. She has started Exhibit 21 years ago and has kept us going all through COVID. And so she has put together a wonderful team, leadership team. She's a great mentor. She's a SCORE mentor, so she mentors several other companies out there as well. So use her knowledge today, ask your questions, and enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
All right. So I'm hoping each one of you are here because you want to learn, okay? So what I mean by that is when you go to a trade show or the Bridal Expo, you know when the doors open, depends on where your location is, okay? A lot of people, when doors open, you have a V. And when you're selecting a booth space, now here's a little different because you get assigned, okay? I'm talking about a trade show too. When you select your booth space, you always look at the entrance doors. When people come in, for some reason, and even left-handers, people kind of go in and they go automatically to the right. Have you ever done that when you walk a show? I don't know what it is, but it's just us Americans. I'm sure Europeans might do the opposite. So when you go in and you go to the left, and then you kind of meander and you're going through quickly. And then in the middle, you kind of stay a little longer. And then on the left side, you kind of hurry out because the show's ending. So whenever you're selecting a booth space at a trade show, take a V and just draw it from the doors and try to be within that V. You'll get more visibility for your investment, okay? The other thing is when you see an influx of brides coming at the expo, the worst thing you can do is stand on the edge of your booth and have a clipboard and try to attack them while they're coming in. You know what I mean? So you don't want to shake hands with everybody. Well, we can't now, maybe all that. But, I know safety's first, but you want to make sure you're not looking at this expo of just gathering tons and tons and tons of leads without well-qualified leads. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today, because how many brides are registered?
We're way ahead of 2019. So
I
I don't have an account right now,
Okay,
as of now. But
well, I know Brad and I worked at Bridal Expo a few months back. It was one of the first ones after COVID. And I cannot believe how many brides are excited to go to expos now. And they are starving to find information. So here's the cool thing. The numbers, if they are down because of face-to-face events, okay, they're more well qualified and more interested in finding what they need. They're more serious buyers and shoppers. So that's what I'm reading. I'm on the Exhibit Designers Producers Association National Board in my industry. And I just got back from a conference last week that says 82% of people want to get back to face-to-face events. Only 12% don't and never will. So that's why hence hybrid. Now, the thing about hybrid statistically and virtual is people are realizing, yeah, virtual's been around a long time, but people got thrown into virtual that really didn't like it, and they're not finding the ROIs there. Okay, does anybody know what I mean by ROI? Okay, so the thing is, what you have to focus on is the ROR. That's return on relationships, because these brides aren't looking sometimes just for a vendor. They're looking for someone they know, they like, and they trust. And you have to establish that in a 5-hour period, 12 to 5, right? 12 to 5. You have 5 hours with X, think of the algebra equation, with X amount of brides and 5 hours. How do you develop relationships and focus on an ROI at the same time? Well, it's not going to be about just talk. It's going to be about distinction. How do you separate? You want to go next slide? How do you separate yourself? So these are the things I'm going to let Steph talk about. I talked a little bit about your booth selection. I talked about when people come, what's important to the brides now is they want to know that when they talk to you, you have an answer. And some people may come up and just talk about price, and we'll get into that towards the end. I'll tell you how to communicate with those kind of people. And when you talk about price, when you talk about features and values and benefits, because you can get closer to a close if you can communicate effectively.
Make sure you can hear me okay. If I need to speak up, especially online. So key ingredients for a great booth strategy. You want to write the play before you design the set. So you want to have a good idea of what you want to do at the show or what you want to accomplish at the show, including your own story. You need to know your story of what you want to tell. Design and to enhance selling versus creating a monument to your ego. So the design of your booth, what you put into it, needs to enhance the selling for your buyer, for your customer, for your attendee, rather than just what you are there for. Provide a positive customer experience versus satisfying personal tastes and preferences. Again, think about your buyer, think about your client on that. And so attendees at your booth, they no longer a world where just showing up with a great booth is going to be what's going to get you the attention. You have to think about several different things. So 10 ways to attract visitors to your booth is you get the right look and feel. So what is really going to set you apart? Do you have a logo? Do you have a tagline? Those are things that are recognizable and memorable to people. They recognize you by your logo or even your tagline. And then remember, small can be beautiful too. So depending on your budget, you can start small, grow big. So keep that in mind. Tell suppliers what you want. Really tell us as a vendor or supplier, somebody who's helping you out, what your budget is, what your goals are. We want to get to know you first, and then we get to know what you want to get out there to your clients. So tell us what you want. Tell us what you need. Tell us your troubles, your what am I thinking of? We want to be able to find a solution for you. So if you have a problem that you need to try and fix, let us try and help you. So let us know. Go for instant brand recognition. Like I said, your logo, your tagline, that's going to be what is out there. And then be creative in what you want to put in your booth space. Be creative. What is going to set you apart? Stick to your budget, as I mentioned before, and beware of giveaways. You don't want to just give away something to give away something. You want it to be memorable. You want them to use it. So we'll talk about giveaways here shortly.
I can insert something there. In your booths, if you're a florist, great, have all the flowers you want. If you're selling TV sets, you're a DJ, don't fill your booth with flowers. You want it to be clear and concise and directed toward what you are doing. You don't want there to be any confusion. We one time had a dentist, a photographer, I think, no, he was a dentist, who had great pictures of these brides, who had all these pictures of these brides who had great teeth and great smiles. Everyone thought he was a photographer. Not a single person thought he was a dentist. So just really think about what you're putting in that booth and make sure it goes to what you are selling. Okay.
So then pick the right people to be in your booth. Don't put somebody in your booth that doesn't know your goals, doesn't know what you do, doesn't know or doesn't really care to be there. You want them to be excited. You want them to know what your goal is, what you want to accomplish at the show. And then don't forget to tell the right people. It takes all of us to help get somebody to a show. So when you know you have a show, push it out there. Social media is huge right now, so push it out there. I'm sure Stacy would appreciate the help at getting more attendees there.
Always.
So
Stacy, do you have a hashtag?
Yeah, I think it's, what is it? Wed Expo?
Yeah, I
it's
think
Wed
it's
Expo.
Okay.
Or
So,
I am Wed Expo.
so yeah, I'm sure she would appreciate you getting more people there.
I got a question real quick on that note, probably for Stacy. How many free tickets do we get with that code?
All of y'all get a special code that you just asked me for, and then you can give it away. I don't care. We traditionally have had it only go for the brides, so then the guests would have to buy a ticket. Now, because of COVID, we're being very, very lenient with that because we're thinking people might think, oh no, what if? So we're saying now it's for two. So you get a guest, it'll be a bride and a guest, bride in quotes also. So you can use as many as you want.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
I had a bridesmaid or maid of honor, excuse me, message me about it.
That's fine. And she,
My cost for the.
yeah, she can just go on and just sign up as a guest. You don't have to use both of those. And if they have multiple people, I don't care. We want to make sure, but here's the thing on those codes. These are not codes and freebies from us. I don't care if the brides like me. I really don't. I want them to like you. So pitch it as this is a gift from you, that Mario has been the one giving this gift. Brandy is giving them this, not the wedding expo, okay? Make them believe that this is something you've arranged for your people. That makes them feel special, that you thought of them and are giving them something, okay?
So there are 6 tips for building a remarkable booth. You want to make your booth unique. What's going to set you apart? You only have 3.5 seconds for somebody to walk by your booth and decide to come in and see you. So make it unique, make it eye-catching. Dominate the swag race. Like I said, we're going to talk about swag here in the future, and you want to make sure you get something that's memorable to you and your company and something usable. Host a game with prizes. DJ will talk about that soon. That can be really fun. Demo your product or service. People want to see what you have. Okay? And then use technology. Over COVID, so many things have happened with technology that make it available. Use it for that good. And then stay active on social media. Definitely still push them out. So booth design ideas to help you stand out. So let's talk a little bit closer on how your trade show booth design can elevate you above the competition. So dive deeper into how your trade show booth will work for you and for your client. So we want to talk about 2D trade show booth designs versus a 3D booth design. So a 2D, you want to use clear and eye-catching copy to qualify booth traffic. So as a rule of thumb, try to create a 6-word tagline that really can interpret that somebody, when they're walking by, can interpret what you do in 3 seconds. That can be quick. Choose one main thing attendees should remember. What do you want them to remember after they leave the show? How are they going to remember you once they leave? Display your choice on the back wall. So what I mean by that is the back wall is the focal point of a small to large size booth. Use it to convey the one thing you want them to remember. If you give them too many things to remember, they're not going to remember. You want to give them that one main message that's going to direct them to you. Okay, so use digital graphics or, to keep the message clear. So you can also have a monitor in your booth, but you don't want to have too many images going. You can have a video, but also keep that concise. Keep that what you want them to hear.
If I can jump back in. How many of y'all are around or have teenagers or children at home? How many have ones you could borrow? Anybody can borrow? How many have ones that you can lend? Yeah.
You wait.
What I like to do is to make sure you're hitting Stephanie's point, is set it up and then have a 13-year-old walk by and say, what do you think I do? What does it say to you?
Yeah.
If they get it, then you're good. If they're like, well, I don't know, you need to work on it. Okay.
And that's called baby eyes. So you want to step back, look at your booth with baby eyes. What are they going to see? What are they going to experience? Okay. So use a limited number of static images. You don't want too many images. You don't want too many text. We kind of talked about that. You don't want too many words. They don't want to sit there and read it. They want to be able to catch it that way. Respect empty space. Empty space is okay. We don't have to fill up our slide with tons of words for you to kind of get the gist of what we're doing. You want to respect that empty space. Okay. And then use your graphics height to attract visitors from all over the trade show. If the show lets you go to a certain height, get it up there. Don't just cut it off at a 6 foot when you have 8 feet to work with. Or more. If the show allows you to go higher, then go higher. Put that banner stand or put that display up on a table so that they can see it. It gets you higher and seen from a distance. And then make your text legible. You don't want it to be tiny. Coming up, we have a couple slides that you may not be able to see the text. That's a point that we want to make. You want to be able to have people see your text rather than not be able to interpret what you need. Okay, so let's talk about 3D. 3D trade show booth design. It's all about the space. So what are your booth spaces?
They are 10 feet wide by 8 feet deep.
Okay, so you want to think about that.
And how high?
The pipe and drape is 8 feet, but I don't care. You go big.
Yeah,
Go big, go higher.
You're lucky because this show manager for this event expo allows you to do that. Some shows have restrictions. You cannot. So take advantage when your show decorator says, yes, you can go over 8 foot high as long as you're not doing a lot of noise and distractions in your booth that hurts the other exhibitor.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
can't see them.
Yeah, now where I will get to be really nasty is if you start blocking someone else.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. We've had people who've set up 8 foot tall walls on the sides, which means that somebody walking down the aisle can't see the person next to you. Now, this show, we've got it all designed in quads. So you only have one person next to you, but we're not going to let anything happen that will hinder someone else. But as long as it's something that's, you're not making her angry, or don't piss off Kathleen. So as long as you're not doing that, then you're fine. Okay.
So when it comes to a 3D booth, it's all about the space. So don't be stingy when it comes to investing in a booth design or layout. Really think about what's going to make that stand out. Build in inexpensive technological conveniences. Use real world materials like wood. Wood is warm, wood is comforting. So you think about what type of materials will represent your business. Take a utilitarian approach to private meeting areas. People are going to want to meet for more than just a couple minutes. If you want to schedule outside appointments, that's definitely encouraged. But you are going to have those people that are going to want to come in. They're going to want to spend a couple more minutes to talk to you. So have a table. Have a table kind of set aside from the main area. Now, I know in a 10 foot space that can be small, but it can be done. You work with a little bar high session where you can get people around and meet with them a little bit more on a personal level.
We do the boardroom is one of that's open for you. I really hate to see you all go in there, but if you have something you need to do in private, we do have that open and available to you. But again, I hate you doing that because I'd rather see you do it, meet with them later, but that is available to you.
And then use physical elements to really complement the booth's message, the booth's graphics, and vice versa. And then don't forget lighting. Lighting can make a huge difference on where that focal point is going to be. Use a light at the top of your booth or within your booth and focus it on a certain message or area. Okay. So let's look at some of the differences. So you have a 3D booth space. This is just a tabletop. There's a basic tabletop that would fit in a 6 or 8 foot space. You have a different 3D look to it. It pops out a little bit, has a little bit more dynamic versus the 2D, which is very flat. Now, those can be very successful as well. It just depends on your message. When we're looking at a 10 by 10 booth, this is similar to what you're going to have. You have a very flat 2D image with a little meeting area. Still a strong message, but then you can also get a 3D where there's different dimensions. There's sidewall with something hanging, and again, like she said, you don't want to block that area from your neighbor. That's why some shows will have a restriction within that 3 foot range from the front of the booth. So that's kind of what this does, but you still have a sidewall that can make, you have shelving, you have a table, charging, and you still have your little meeting area. So then as we talk about this space, we wanted to talk about the sensory aspects. You have sight, you have sound. So when you have sight, you want to attract them by what they can see. I did talk about earlier, it takes 3.5 seconds for somebody to walk by your booth space and actually decide whether they want to come in and see you or not. So use that sight. Sound, if you have music, or if you have, not too loud, but if you have something within your booth space that they can hear, that's going to attract them. Smell. How many of you have flowers? How many of you have food? How many of you have, candles, that type of thing? Those items can really make a difference. How many of you can smell something when you're walking by and it brings up a childhood memory? Smell can be a very strong, and then taste. If you offer something, you're making me laugh. She has her glasses on. It's funny. But when you talk about taste or touch, use those sensory items that people have. So then also, just to put something in your mind, make your booth scalable too. Do you plan on growing your business? Do you plan on going to bigger shows? So start with something that can grow with different elements as you grow into larger booth spaces. That's something that it can be unique to you and keep it scalable. And then we're going to, so then let's talk about promotional items. Promotional items can be very strong. So you want to think about, okay, the everyday passerby. They're looking for promotional items. They're going to come and grab what you have. So when it comes to promotional items, you don't want to put everything that you have out on your table. How many of you have been to a show where that's all they have on their table? Tons of different types of promotional items. I have. I've seen them. I've gathered them up because those are ideas too. But you have those people that are going to come up and they're going to grab 2 or 3 of them.
For their kids.
One for mom, one for grandkids, one for them, and they're going to grab them. So just put a few out within 10, 5 to 10, put them out there. Encourage them to come and talk to you, because what that's going to do is they're going to say, okay, they may only have that many. So maybe I should ask. It's a subliminal, it's a conscious thing for them. So don't just spread it out there for anybody to come and take. Also with promotional items, you have that everyday passerby that I'm talking about. But then you also have that client that's going to come in. They're going to want to schedule. Hi, welcome, come on in. They're going to want to schedule a meeting with you. So if they schedule a meeting with you or an appointment after, or they give you their information to contact them later, give them something that's a little bit bigger, something that's a little bit more meaningful as a thank you. It's more of a thank you gift. Okay, so as we talk about the top 10 for 2022, these are the items that are fun. And DJ and I have been to a couple shows in Las Vegas, so we've been able to see some of these work in action. So the notebook, the personalized notebook, and the promotional pen. The advantage to giving out somebody there is not everybody will bring a pen or think about, okay, I gotta have paper in my purse. So if you give them a notebook and a pen, what does that do? That gives them immediately something to jot down notes on, whether it be your information, and make sure your card is in there. So that gives them something to use at the show and after. Okay? Then you have the custom logo portable chargers. How many of you have been somewhere and your phone dies? Okay? These have become a lot more popular because you can pull that out, plug in your phone, and you immediately have power again. These are things that are a little bit more on the pricier side, but at the same time, they're a great thank you gift and usable that somebody can use. Okay, then I've been walking through a show and I walk by and I'm like, oh my goodness, those M&Ms sure look good to me. You know, you have that food aspect, and you had a comment on food too. But when you have something in your booth, like a candy or a snack, they're gonna come closer and they're gonna partake of that. And did you have a comment about the?
I do. There's two comments. Imagine the journal, go back to the journal. And if, you know, brides love to capture their wedding memories. Think of something for a lifetime value. If I were doing a journal, I would put my bridal journal, and I would do it for them, put it, you know, like that, with your branding very small at the bottom. That would be a gift for someone that you're about to close, maybe as a thank you gift, okay, as a takeaway. Then you could do the smaller ones. The food items, we have Wildflower in Santa Fe. I love what they do. They use a local vendor. And what they do is they cross promote the local vendor with organic or food, you know, because people like organic and healthy things. And they do chocolate bars with some really cool healthy things in it. And then they cross brand it with their Wildflower. Those candy bars they give away are hotcakes at the show. We just went to IMEX America in Las Vegas in November. And of course, this is tourism. Now, tourism has to wow their audience to get you to go to their country or their state. So what they were doing is they got with their local vendors and they put together, one person in Canada put together cosmetics that were high end. You don't have to do high end, but they put together different cosmetics, and for their thank you gifts, they put it together in a little tote bag. Do you want to grab that tote bag so they can see that? This was pretty cool. And I wrote a blog about that because I wanted to demonstrate how you as an exhibitor, when you're at a trade show or a bridal expo, if you use local vendors, you have and you can buy or they can donate.
You can't do that in our show.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. This is
Sorry.
trade shows then.
No, you can do
Yeah.
this as a thank you gift after. I have no problem with you doing that after. But what we can't have, because we had a lot of people who would try to come in and get their item branded at the show and get the distribution. And then the other people were really angry because they got it and we're handing out stuff for free. So you can't do that at our show.
But at a trade show, you could.
But
Yeah.
you could do that as a thank you gift for after, which is fine, but not with branding and giving out things there.
Okay.
The one other thing about food is it has to be prepackaged unless you're a commercial kitchen.
Right.
And in that case, it needs your license.
And I would suggest prepackaged food. And then make sure your logo and your branding are on it. So those are the two things I had to say.
Okay, so you can also, you know, the other things that are going to come up in the next couple slides, these are items that a lot of people just use on an everyday basis. So you have your water bottles, your drinkware, those real popular branded items. Even right here, you can see my 8x8. I got that at IMEX, you know, and it's one of my best teacups that I have because it keeps everything warm. Well, I use that every other day. Okay, then your pop sockets and your phone wallets, different things that happen there. And then especially in Albuquerque, no more plastic bags, right? So what do we need? We need grocery bags, we need tote bags. So the branded tote bags are really popular right now because of that very reason. Okay, and then of course, the custom printed bottle and can cozies have always been popular for those people. And then something for the new. Now, this is where you look at price. This is also one of those higher end thank you gifts would be like a Bluetooth speaker or headphones. More often now, you get even the wireless headphones that people are getting into. Real items that people use every day. And then this is one of my favorites, always been one of my favorites, is the lip balm. Right now, it's dry. Yes, we did get rain, but New Mexico is still dry. So how many times am I reaching for that? And then, of course, your t-shirts. Your t-shirts, if they're comfortable, whether they're working out, all of that. And then I'm going to turn the next one over to DJ. This is a fun one.
So booth games, and remember about promotional products, no matter what, if you're at the Bridal Expo, think of your end user. Don't do a promotional product that your end user can't use. You're wasting your money.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you always put either your logo and your website or your logo and your phone number. I have seen so many people over the years, and I've done a lot of trade shows, that I see them put their company name but no contact, or maybe not even their logo. So really, really be strategic when you're spending money to give away something and make sure the end user can use it. Games is my favorite part. You know, we're getting into 5 generations, and the 5th generation's on their way out, traditionalists, but the younger generation Zs have entered the market. Okay, I have 2 Gen Zs that work here, 23 and 24 years old. They love games, and they love interaction, they love collaboration, they love technology, they like things that are moving in your booth. So when you're looking at the brides, and the average bride has changed because brides are older also that are getting married. So you have to decide how you're going to market to that demographic audience. You have to know the personas of your audience. So if we have a diverse range of brides that could be from, 21, say, or even younger, all the way up to 60. I was just in a wedding last month for a 59-year-old bride. Okay, so yes, they're getting married, the big weddings. So who is your audience? What do you do in your company? And how can you interact with technology or a game? So the first one, we always do business card raffle. That's a traditional one. You can still do that. But if you're going to do a business card raffle, make sure it's clear when you draw, how you communicate with them, and what they get in return. You can't just say, we're doing a business card raffle, put in your card. You're not going to get any information if you just say that. You have to say what's in it for them. So if you're doing that way, make sure. Also, cards, doing some kind of card game. We were at a show in Vegas in October, and this magician was there, and he was awesome. I mean, I don't know how he did his tricks, but he knows how to wow the audience. He attracted a lot of people. But, maybe you're doing a card game. Maybe you're looking at social media. You have the younger audience that are in social media. What kind of Twitter game can you do? What kind of social media game? Can you have people use the hashtag or tag your company if they're talking about you for a drawing? That's how you get that branding out there. You get engagements. Maybe you ask them, do you want to do a photo session? We're going to post this on Facebook. Maybe they want to attend that. A lot of people like that, where they're just engaging on social media with their friends. How about the in-booth gaming? This is a little more high tech, probably what the raffle, the prize wheel, it still works. I even did it myself 2 weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale. I did the raffle. I didn't win, but lollipops. But hey, I won something and my grandkids got them, right? And then trivia games. People love trivia games, believe it or not. And you don't have to be that high tech. You can do something with any kind of technology that you can come up with yourself, ask questions. Maybe it's about your business. And if they answer, and it could be about New Mexico. What a great way to do a trivia is do things about New Mexico that they may not know, and then throw in a couple of company questions too. And then whoever gets the most trivia answers is on the leaderboard and they win a prize. And then they can see who's winning and maybe they're competitive. Rolling the dice. If you roll doubles, you get X. Counting games. I still love that because I love math. I'll go in and I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, there's 784 pieces of gum in there. I put in 784 or whatever. You guess and you win. Plinko. I know it may sound old school for Plinko and for the tossing game. I have both of those with my company branding on there that we've used at events. People love to get involved. Go ahead.
2 things on this. Number one, if you're going to be doing something that's like the beanbag toss, let me know, because I can go ahead and put you in a booth. The floor plan's almost done, but I can, if you call me and go, I need it, I can put you against a wall, and then you can even pull it outside of your booth so it doesn't get too cramped in there. Just let me know and communicate with me about what you're doing in here. The other thing is we really, really encourage you to do something like the raffles, dice winning for the dice. We're going to give you the database of all the couples or the bride, saying quotes again, bride information. But you are going to have 3 times the number of people there who are not on that database. So you could even do specific raffles for, bridesmaids raffle, parents raffle, whatever, or non-bride raffles. Something to get that information from all these other people who are there who are potentially your clients and that you're not going to get the information for. So you can bulk out your leads list by 3-4 times by doing that. So just keep that in mind. The other thing is on that, if you can have a thing asking them if it's okay to text them, then you have permission to text. You don't have permission to text from the list I give you. Do not, no, big nada. But if you have it on there, have it put it on, check that, and then you can text them because texting is one of the most effective ways to reach them after.
And into that.
Yes.
So go ahead, Scott. Come over here on camera, Scott.
If you want to be really precise and be able to text them on their fill out forms that you're collecting leads from, say, after they put all their information, address and phone number, say, what is your preferred method of communication? And make text be a checkbox. Then you do have specific permission to do that.
And we're going to get into that when we get into ad event, because I'm going to tell you each generation and each personality, their preferred method, the most common. So let's talk about, I love this statistic. 90% of people think that businesses that they deal with could improve when it comes to communication. What is that telling you? When people are out there trying to find a vendor, they don't feel heard. They don't feel like you're really listening. They feel like you're selling and talking. So we really have to think about the way we present our company and to ask those open-ended questions and not try to just say, want to buy, like the 80s and the 90s. You have to engage and communicate. Participation is much more than just talking to them. You have to find out, I know when I've worked a couple expos with Brad, I love how he and Heather and I as a team, we work with those brides and we ask those questions like, what are you hoping to find today? We get them talking because guess what? You can pre-qualify in your mind when they're talking more than you, you'll know exactly what they need and if you can service that need. So it's like pre-qualifying your prospect. You have to listen to them. You have to speak when they ask a question. You have to be able to have that answer and know if that person in your booth has that answer. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. You have to care and you have to share information. Building relationships isn't just about the who, what, why, where, when. It's about finding out that personality. What are their hobbies? What are their likes? What are their preferences? Because that shows you care. When you're talking to a bride and you're asking, what's important to you in your wedding? Guess what you're doing? You're opening them up to engage and feel comfortable. You've taken down that wall, that barrier on communication where they don't feel like, oh, I don't want to go in their booth space because they're just going to try to sell me. And, I don't know what I want yet, and they'll tell you. Most brides will tell you. Or if not, the mother of the bride definitely will, or the best friend. Okay. So those are the kind of things we want to learn. And team buy-in. How many of you work the booth by yourself? Okay, good. You have tag teams? You do? You work by yourself? Okay. And online, if you work your booth by yourself, 5 hours a lot. If you have to take a restroom break, here's the cool thing. I love this about Stacy. She'll walk around and if you say, hey, Stacy, at 3 o'clock, is there any way I could get someone, you might anticipate, you might say, oh, I have to use the bathroom maybe 2 hours, something like that if you're drinking. But you can say, hey, I need someone to cover my booth. If you have an exhibitor next door that's not a competitor, make sure you relationship build and have somebody in your booth space at all times. There's nothing worse than a bride walking by that's ready to buy and has a need for your service and your person isn't in the booth or the person that's covering for you can't answer a question. And I've seen it. I have gone to a booth space at a big show and I've been interested and I'm a buyer. I am not a shopper. I hate to shop. If I go to a show, I usually have a targeted list of what I'm looking for and who I want to talk to. And you want to be on that blessed 11 list, I call it, that they have to come see you for your service. And if you're there and if they're not there, and I'll say, hey, so-and-so, I really need to learn about this product. I read about you and I'm interested. I want to offer that service. Like, oh, the CEO just left and they know all the information about this. Can you come back in 15 minutes? I'm like, I'll try. Guess what? I never went back because that isn't good business practice. If you're going to pay for that booth space and you're going to want to be there and get your company out there, be present, be in the moment. Don't be in the future. Don't be in the past. Be right there present with the bride.
Yeah, and for those of you who need me, I step into booths to give you breaks.
Yep.
I have no problem with that. I don't know the answers, but I'm a great staller.
There you go. Yeah, she's a great talker and
I would
listener.
keep DJ there and make her stay there until you get that. But hurry, I might be in trouble.
The reason I asked how many of you share the booth with other colleagues or business owners or employees, make sure that people in your booth represent you as an ambassador. Because I was out of town once and I had a couple staff members at a 10 by 20 home show. This is going back years ago. And I had to be at another show. And I remember I got a telephone call on a Sunday afternoon from a friend of mine that was walking the show. And she said, and I teach my staff, we practice what we say. Like if I say, don't chew gum, don't eat in your booth or drink. If you have to have a drink, put it in your cabinet. When you go to drink, walk out of your booth space, take a drink, and then walk back in. These are the things of etiquette because people are watching you. And especially me, if I teach this, I can't do all these things I say not to do, right, for etiquette. So I remember I got that call and they said, DJ, you had two girls working your booth and one girl had this short shirt on with her stomach, her belly button, with a pierced belly button showing. And then they had two guys in the booth and they were sitting at a table eating. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, guess what? I fired one of them, okay? The other one, I gave a reprimand and wrote up. Those are important to me and they know the rules of engagement. So you have to make sure your people are ambassadors. It might sound mean, but remember, when you are that company, that's your brand you're representing. And the people in your booth have to understand your brand and be able to talk it. Maybe you're zany and casual, or maybe you're traditional and formal. Represent your brand.
And one other thing with that, it's really important what DJ was saying. It's kind of like this trifecta of bad booth behavior, eating, chewing gum, talking to someone else. But be careful and don't drink here. Again, move out of your booth because even if they're not engaging with you, people are watching you. There are lots of people in the aisles. You are making an impression even when you are not talking to these people. They're looking at you and they're going, exhibit, And they see her down here, down in something and talking to somebody, even if no one's right in front of you, be careful about what you're doing. Leave your booth and do it.
And that's important. Make sure you have defined roles of responsibility. So if you're working a booth and you have technology running, make sure that person understands technology. One time I was hired at a booth space for a 10 by 40. It was in Nashville at the Opera House. And I remember they hired me to come train their salespeople. And they had engineers. They had 5 engineers at stations and they had a pipeline inspection for city municipalities and government. So imagine the audience, imagine the engineers, but imagine if you have someone like me going in there that's working. Maybe I'm doing business development or I'm looking for products, but I'm not an engineer. And I walk in and an engineer's training me and you're gonna go, wah, 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 right? So I had to teach the engineers different personalities. When I pass this person off to you and I say this word, which I'm going to teach you later, that means they're this personality. I want you to be short, concise, bulleted. I don't want you to go into the details in the charts and the graphs. I want you to do an overview because that's all they care about is how does it work on the big picture so I can go back to my boss and my people and think this is going to work for us. Then you have other people, engineer to engineer mentality or accounting mentality. Hey, this is Mr. So-and-so, and I say a certain buzzword. I want you to go into the graphs, the details. I want you to take your time because they're not going to get the strategy. They want to know how it works inside the pipes. I had to learn the whole entire company in 5 hours, how to talk about it, to market it, so I could get the prospect over to the engineer so they could communicate effectively to that prospect. That's what you're going to learn today because everybody communicates differently. So when you have that ambassador in your booth, I want you to make sure that they can talk to different personalities too. And then understanding your staff strengths. I told you the story about a couple staff members. Who are your shining stars? Who are your extroverts and who are your introverts? If you have an introvert working a booth, there's nothing worse than them coming up and standing here like this or like this. You know what that means? I don't want to be here. my boss, my colleague made me here, but I'm gonna work the best I can. But I don't like talking to people. I just want to sit behind the table and get on a computer. You know what I mean? So if you have that kind of personality, maybe they're doing some technology and they're not the face of your company, all right? Or the face of your company, maybe they're over the top and it's turning some of the brides off. Maybe they're too zealous, okay? One time out, and I used to be that person, all right? Because that shows I really shine. I love to talk to people. Well, one time you have to know your audience going back. I was working with PhDs in Los Alamos, and I was working 10 by 20 display. I had a new brand message I was testing out. You have 3.8 seconds to catch attention of your audience. So can you tell me, hey, Miss Prospect? He goes, what? He says, what do you do? And I said, well, sir, I'm going to put you to the test. Can you tell me in 3.8 seconds what I do by looking at my booth? And he just went, like this. Well, what he thought I said was, hey, sir, can you tell in 3.8 seconds by looking at my booth what I do? Oh, I didn't catch it because I'm from North Carolina and sometimes my accent comes out. Well, I have a massage therapist over here with another gentleman. They are cracking up. And I'm like dumbfounded, like, and then it just clicked. And I said, sir, but for looking at my exhibit, can you tell? Okay. You have to be very careful with when you talk and how it's understood. The other thing I did to a female, we had graphics as easy as apple pie. And I said to the lady the same thing. Can you tell in 3.8 seconds what I do? Well, she had what you'll learn, a dove personality. Well, she didn't like being put on the spot. You cannot put some people on the spot by asking a very important question. You have to get to know them and listen and ask those open-ended questions. So understand your staff on how they communicate and teach them these things. Because I'm telling you, you'll go a lot further when you're working your booth space and when you're doing business by learning how to make the rules of engagement. Here's my favorite part, at event. Now, here's where we're going to really dig into the nutshell of the expo, okay? So when you talk about the psychology of sales, you know you have different parts of your brain. Most people are emotional when they're there. They'll look at you, you know, they're interested, they're learning. But when it comes to buying, you have the logic and the reasoning taking over on your brain. Sometimes they'll say, yes, I would like to hire you as a DJ. I love what you do. And yeah, you look really good. I love what you showed me. You know, here's my information. I'm going to set up an appointment. Then they get home and they're going, well, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to do that. Did I make the right decision? Maybe I'm second guessing myself. But you have to get past that. What you have to do is you have to trust, commitment, distinction, and performance. What do you think I mean by that? Let's think about that, trust. How would you build trust with that person before you make that appointment? What are some ideas you might have? Anybody ever do that? Okay, what's some words we could use? Do you want to build trust? Have you ever had someone sit down with you and say, you can trust me? And when they say that, I'm like, I don't know. They said that too quick. A lot of people don't come out and talk about trust. So what you have to do is you have to build it from the inside out. So think about that. You know, when they came out, I don't know if some of you are too young, the MasterCard. I love that MasterCard commercial that came out years ago. The lady's working at home. She's on her computer. The little girls are dancing around. Anybody remember this? And she was trying to do a remote thing. And she promised her daughter she'd take them to the beach. Okay. So she's trying to do this. And she finally gets off the conference, takes her daughters to the beach, and MasterCard comes up. You can trust that you can do this and do that at the same time. Priceless relationships. What I loved about that is people build walls up. We're getting bombarded with marketing and texting and email communication. Now we're getting DMs and social media where people, you know, you friend them and they come on and try to hard sell you. We don't trust anymore, okay? We don't trust the person that's calling if we don't know the number. You know, these are the things we have to create for barriers. In email communication, I don't know about you all, but I have a proof point that blocks a lot of emails that I have to approve. So communication is getting harder and harder to get to the end user. So when you're at that face-to-face event, it's more critical than ever now to make sure you're distinctive and you have a lasting impression, okay? So when you're qualifying, you want to do discovery. We talked about open-ended questions. What do you hope to find today? You know, I always like to know, have you picked your wedding date? Yes. Oh, tell me about it. How far in advance? Oh, it's a year. Oh, I'm really glad you're planning early. It's so important because this is your big day. Or if they have one next month, wow, that's really cool. So tell me what you're doing. I bet you feel rushed, don't you? You see what I mean? So you ask these questions and you just think about at a dinner party when you're sitting next to people that you know. Would you talk to them like, hey, you want to buy from me? Hey, I can do this for you. Did you know that we do this? And I can do this in 10 days. And you know, you're starting to sell. People don't want to be sold to anymore. They want you to communicate to them as if you're sitting at a dinner party and you're becoming their friend. All right. So what are you known for? You have a question?
Well, I was just gonna say, one of the best things that we've been able to do to communicate with brides is I just ask them, how can I help? Because it's their wedding.
Yep.
right? And we're here to serve them. And it really breaks down that barrier of them feeling like they're getting sold to. So I just say, how can we help?
I agree. And so what are you known for? What is your legacy? What is your, you know, why should the person trust you? These are the things you need to answer before you start communicating. What are you committed to in your business? Are you the best of the best, or can someone else say that? You know, are you local? Are you organic? Are you, you know, whatever's important to the bride, that you have a feature and a benefit that you can service? That's what you have to listen for, all those questions. So now we're going to talk about, the zones. How many of you ever know there's zones when you go to an event? You know what I mean by that? So think about this. They're walking down the aisle. I know this is what I do because I'm very targeted. I walk down the aisle and I kind of scan what's going on. Remember, I told you I have a pre-selected list also, but this is if I'm just looking after I talk to my serious people. So I'm walking down and I'm about 20 feet before and I see something that catches my attention. That's what you call zone 1. That's when they're like, oh, they stand out, or, oh, I see this florist. I've heard about them from friends. I need to go see that person. Okay. So that's what you call zone 1. You catch the attention of the audience in that 3.8 seconds. Well, then you get to zone 2. This is potential interest. This is where someone's like, I've heard of that company before. I wonder what they do. So they see signs and information, or maybe they see a video going. They see people engaged in the booth and they're curious. Well, zone 3 is when they step over the threshold. You know what I mean by that? I call it the threshold. You have your 10 by 10 space or 8 by 10. And the threshold is when you cross over that line to the aisle carpet. Okay. That's that threshold that a lot of people won't cross over. You ever seen people just stand in the aisle and they'll talk to you from the aisle because they don't really want to come in your booth space. Okay. They're afraid they're going to be hard sold. They don't know you yet. They don't trust you yet. They're just inquisitive. All right. So what you have to do, getting people from zone 2 to zone 3 is the most difficult thing. All right. It's going to be where they see it's fun. They want to see it's engaging. Maybe you have a game, you have a drawing, you have something of interest that's going on in your booth that you're attracted to, you know, they're attracted to your booth. That's where you have to get genuine interest. If you can get them in your booth space and feel welcome and at home, then you have a more likelihood of being able to engage and be successful if they want to buy your product. All right, so let's talk about what kind of questions. I call these action questions, and you can tailor these to your own business, okay? These are for me. So what is the role, not what is the role in your company? So you can say, tell me about how decisions are made for the wedding. You know, what are you thinking? Instead of going, hey, are you the decision maker? And if she's not, she's going to be kind of offended. Do you know what I mean? So maybe you can say, you know, when you have the bride, and you got to look for eye contact, y'all. You're going to know who the boss is by who looks you directly in the eye. Just going to tell you. And it may not be the bride.
The brides will have pins on. It says, I'm getting married. So you'll know who they are. But again, that does not mean they're making the decisions.
Because I remember when I was helping Brad out, I would tell him, and I like to write notes that tells me, you know, in my mind, the fiance is the decision maker, the bride is the decision maker, the best, you know, the bridesmaid, or maid of honor is, or the bride or the mother. I like to talk that because when I see a group of people coming, it usually tells me either they are decision makers and they just brought their flock, okay, or they're not decision makers and they love collaboration decisions. They need influence. So what I do is when I'm talking, I just open up my hands and I talk to the whole group. And as we're asking those questions, I find out who answers the direct questions first. And when I see that, I'll make sure I look them directly in the eye but never dismiss the bride and the other parties. But you look them directly in the eye when they're asking those direct questions. That's a great question. Scott, thank you. And then you look over here and then you go back and you answer it. But then you it's kind of like Toastmasters. Anybody ever been to Toastmasters? You know, they teach you how to move your body. They teach you how to talk and then do that 10% peripheral vision as you're talking. So that's what you do when you're in a group. So authority, how are the decisions made about the wedding? Tell me what you're doing. You know, are you signing anything? You know, what are you thinking? This is how you're finding out who is a decision maker. Who's going to have the greatest use for this service? You know, these are some trade show questions, but you have to curtail this to your business and you're talking to the decision maker. Capability. Tell me a little bit more about your wedding plan. I'd love to hear it. I love unique. Oh my gosh, that's so unique. I heard some unique wedding, especially these destination ones that people are doing or just really unique. These younger kids got it right, man. They know how to plan a wedding. They just make it where it's fun and memorable and it's not so stuffy and traditionalist and all that like it was in the past. And then you want to know time. You always have to work your projects on time. I taught my staff that when someone has a need, you get the end date, you work backwards for your service, what you can provide, and you start talking about timelines. You know, I know Brad, he can do his pretty good because he's got a team. But if you're selling a product, a widget, like I do, and you know that widget takes X amount of days to make, and they have a wedding in 7 days, and your widget takes 10 days, you know, you just have to be honest. You can't overcommit and underdo it. But, you know, those are the kind of things I always work at timelines because I find people respect you more if they see that you're on top of your game, best practices, and you can put a timeline in place for things to do. Let's see, identity. You know, this is where you're capturing your information. Like Scott said, you know, how to communicate, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then obstacles. This is important because if you're a company that's been around a long time like me, maybe an employee in the past did something at a show or something that offended somebody. Okay. What if they come and say, have you ever heard of our company or worked with our company before? Be prepared. It probably won't happen, but what if that 1 in a million person goes, yeah, a friend of mine did and they didn't have a very good experience. How do you overcome that? You know what you do? You don't make excuses. You say, I'm really sorry to hear that. You know what, I take that personally and I'd love to learn more about that. You know, because I can commit to you that our team is dedicated to customer service. And I would love the opportunity to earn your business to prove that. You know what I mean? So you have to overcome those obstacles. And then need. What are you hoping to get from your, you know, what do you want to do that distincts you? What's memorable? That's where you're learning about what they want from their wedding. You know, the thing is, I find that most salespeople, when they're working a booth space, they don't prospect efficiently, effectively, or enjoyably. Okay, so think about that. All they're doing is trying to get an ROI for their boss. I'm trying to sell this. I have to get so many. You know, you have to really think about it. You want to gather leads, but it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. You can get quantity all day, and if none of them go to the next step, you wasted your time, right? So that's what you want to do. And don't spend unnecessary time with prospects that you can't help. What do you think I mean by that? What do you think I mean? They're not your target audience. And maybe you're going to miss the opportunity if you're talking too long with somebody in a booth. Now the thing is, there's a caveat to that, because if you're talking to a bride and you know they're not your, you know, they already have a DJ. I'm just going to use that because Brad's a good friend of mine. They already have a DJ, right? So you know they're not going to be a potential. But guess what? They could be a future evangelist. They could be a future referral person. So don't dismiss that. But be careful how long you spend in a booth with one person that couldn't be your client. Because what if all these other brides are going by and they don't want to interrupt? They're going to walk by and it could be your opportunity.
And one more thing, and DJ, you'll probably get to this. So I'm sorry, I'm stepping on you, but no, or they're not interested does not necessarily mean that.
That's right.
Because these couples have a timeline of what they want to accomplish in an order. They're not going to be picking a DJ before they pick a venue. They're not going to skip out of order because they don't have the ability to make the commitment to Brad until they have Kent and El Zocalo in place. So that's why it's very important to go ahead and keep a watch on how you're relaying these people, how you're talking to them, how you're showing yourselves in the booth. Because here's the secret. I don't care if we have 300 brides or we have 1,000 brides there. You will never be able to talk to all of them. It's a billboard. Yeah, it's a billboard. This is a billboard for future, for people to see your name, get that recognition, pick up something, scan you, whatever, for them to refer to later. So, but this is very important whenever you're dealing with somebody, even if they don't need you right now, they might need you later.
So how many of you know about the 4 Ps in selling? Not your product, okay, your 4 Ps. What, not in marketing, what it is perseverance, okay, persistence, personality, and you know most salespeople are missing the 4th P, persuasion. Stephanie had to learn that. She was really good at the first 3 Ps, weren't you? And because she has a dove personality first, she felt like she was imposing on persuasion. Persuasion can be used in different scenarios when you're talking to people. Doesn't mean it's like, hey, you need to close tomorrow because, you know, I'll give you an example. I'm working on a client right now. It's about a $37,000 display. I have to close tomorrow by 5 to meet his January 14th trade show deadline in Dallas. That's not persuasion. That's saying I can't do it if we don't. You know what I mean? So that's realistic. That's different. But what if I didn't have a targeted timeline and I wasn't on the crunch where I had to close it? And I was saying, hey, you just need to buy by the end of tomorrow because the sales is going off and I'm going to change the price on Thursday. You know how I get people to take action? This is so funny. Stephanie's learned this too. Because we're more national, so we do a lot of emails, okay, and a lot of telephone calls. And a lot of times if I'm going out of town and I have a whole bunch of things that are about to close and I don't want to impose my staff on the follow-up afterwards, I'll send an email. Just want to remind you or let you know I'm going to be out of the office on these days. I know we have that pending quote. Your need date's this. You know, if you want me to close or want me to handle this before I leave, let me know, or I'll delegate it to a staff member to make sure you're taken care of when I'm gone. You know, a lot of people go, oh, I need to close before DJ leaves. Isn't that funny? It's just if you have a relationship with them, not saying on a new prospect, because that's a hard closure. But mine is, and Stephanie's done this too, when she's going on vacation. You prompt your clients a couple weeks ahead, not the day before, to try to close everything. But you let them know you're going to be out of town on these days, and you want to make sure they're taken care of, or they, you know, and you're not sure when, you know, your timeline is. Right now, we don't have a timeline, so I'll follow up when I get back, or I can delegate it to a staff member in my absence. And it's amazing. Or we call a breakup email. Have you ever heard of a breakup email? You're following up, and no response. So we have a thing where you leave a message. Hi, Miss Prospect. You know, this is DJ from Exhibit. I just want to follow up on that quote. I know we haven't talked in a while and I haven't been successful in reaching you. So I just wanted to check in one more time. I know the timing may not be right. So I wanted to let you know I'm going to go ahead and turn the quote inactive. But if you ever need anything, here's my contact information. I'd love to hear from you. This is if you just at the end of your rope. And then I send the email reiterating what I said. And some people go, no, please keep me on your list. It's amazing if you're polite about things and you have a systematic follow-up structure and people see how professional you are and you're not just pushy, that it's more systematic on your communication channels, they will probably buy from you more easily. All right, so here's my favorite part, okay? I love this part because I really believe that communication is key to success. In the 1930s, there was a Dr. Couturier that came out with the DISC analysis. Have you all ever done that? The DISC analysis, the red, yellow, green, and blue? Okay, good. Can you remember your colors?
Mhm.
What are you?
I'm red.
Yep, okay. See how she spoke up? I was gonna tell you, that's an eagle personality. Yes, okay. So here's the thing, and she's a decision maker. So, but then in the 70s, there was a Dr. Couturier that came out and said, most people couldn't remember their colors. I think I'm a red, but I don't know my second color. You know, they get kind of lost on colors. So he came out with what we call the bird analogy. That's where they take the eagle, okay? So let's see. Yeah, here's where they are. So we're going to go over this in a minute. This is where you take your eagle, the red, your dominating person, you know, your decision maker. Then you go to the yellow, the peacock, the charismatic person. You go into the green, the team builder, the dove. Then you go into the blue, your analyzer, owl, which is who, what, where, why, when. So Stephanie's going to read the characteristics of each person. And what I challenge each one of you to do, I'm going to walk around the room, and I'm going to shake your hand as we're talking. She's going to read the definition of that certain person. But you have to remember, and here's, everybody has different personalities and different parts of what you do. I know when I'm at home with my grandkids, I'm different than with my family, than with my girlfriend, than when I'm at work or at a trade show or a seminar. Put on your work hat. This is your expo bridal. You're representing your company hat. Okay? I want to know your primary personality. I want you to do a little checklist in your mind as she's reading out these things. And I want to know your secondary, if you can think about it. And then I'm going to walk around the room and shake your hand. I haven't really talked to some of you. Most of the time I get it right. Sometimes I miss the second one. But I want to tell you what I think, okay? And then we're going to go talk about how to communicate with each one of these. Are you ready? So you have to know your own personality to make it work for the opposite. I want you to listen for stress and pressure and likes and dislikes, because you're going to hear some controversy on different personality types. And that's important because when you're engaging with people, you got to know what you're going to do that turns them off, or how you're going to have to overcome communicating with that personality. Okay? All right.
Okay, so our first one is the eagle personality. So their behavior pattern is controlling and very direct. Their pace is fast and decisive. Their priority, the task or results, are important to them. Their appearance is businesslike and powerful. Their workplace is busy, efficient, and very structured. Their source of security is control and leadership. Their fears are being taken advantage of. They measure their personal worth by results, task record, and progress. Their internal motivator is winning, control, and being number one. Celebrities, Donald Trump, Lee Iacocca, and Dr. Romero on ER. You watch ER. Their strengths are delegating, leadership, and inspiring others. Their weaknesses, they may be insensitive, impatient, and they dislike the details. Typical jobs for an eagle are CEO, president, or military leader. Their irritations are inefficiency and indecision. Under stress, they may withdraw and become very headstrong. Their decisions are dictatorial and critical of others. Their motivation is productivity and bottom line results.
So what did you hear? This person does not want to know all the features and the benefits and how long you've been in business. They don't care. Okay? So what they care about is value, saving them time, saving them money. Because usually when you're dealing with this type of person, they usually have a very full agenda. They know exactly what they want. Remember how I told you when I walk a show? I know Stephanie and I go to an exhibitor show in our industry every year, and we get out the list. Who do we want to visit first? We have a list of people we must talk to for a reason. Then we just walk the show, okay, to see what else is happening. That's what you're dealing with. That's the type of personality. And when I said, your handshake said opposite. I'm going to say you're a dove eagle, eagle secondary, but we'll see, okay? Because handshakes for an eagle, when they shake your hand, it's more like this. Ready? Hi. You see that?
Yeah.
It's a little firmer. Not saying they're overbearing, and they'll look you directly in the eye. Hi, I'm DJ. How are you doing? Nice to meet you. You see that? Some people don't like direct eye contact. It makes you nervous. They feel like you're too assertive, okay? So there's pros and cons about every single personality. The eagle pros is they're decisive, they're decision makers, they know what they're looking for, and they usually have a list, and they like results. When I say that, they want to check off that list. I am here to the expo. I need to find a DJ. I need to find a cake decorator. They know exactly what they're looking for, and that is their priority for the day. Okay? If you're not on the list, you have to figure out how to wow them without being over the top. So when you're talking about your company, you ask those open-ended questions. And you may hear at the very beginning, well, how much does that cost? Cost is not a barrier to an eagle if they feel they have value. I'm going to repeat that. Cost is not a barrier if they feel they have value. I'm going to ask how much that costs. It's not because, if it's value, I'm going to pay for it. I just bought an e-bike. I didn't buy the cheapest and I didn't buy the top of the line. I did my research and I bought what I felt was value for $17.99. Okay. And some people are like, oh, I could have found it for $13.99. That wasn't important to me. I knew exactly what I was looking for and it met all the needs that I want. Okay. They're buyers, they're not shoppers. Big difference. Okay. So if you're in your booth space and you're talking too much about your company, they're just going to tune you out. What do I say when you talk too much? No, to you.
Oh, to me? Word.
Perfect. That's an inside joke. Sometimes she'll go, oh, she'll take, all right. Word. That's our communication, okay? So you don't want to talk too much because they don't have time. They're not going to spend a lot of time in your booth. They just want to know what you offer. Can we set a date? Can we go to the next step? Because they have a lot to do. And those are going to be your most successful buyers if you don't talk too much, okay? How they dress at the show, go ahead. I can see you.
One thing, yeah, well, one
You
thing
just
too.
walk up. Just
Yeah,
walk up.
okay. One thing too, Eagle's not the only one that are gonna ask you how much it is.
Oh,
Everyone
I'm
has
getting
been,
into that.
has been conditioned. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I'm on the first one.
No,
Yeah, I know, that's okay. Yes, they're not. There's two personalities that will do that. So anyways, when you're communicating or when you see this person coming, even though it's a Sunday show, you know how some people wear jeans and t-shirts? It won't be your eagle. They don't wear jeans and t-shirts unless they're really going to work out or, do something athletic or something like that. They're going to be more business casual, okay? Can you tell I have my heels on, right? Even though I'm wearing a casual polo shirt, I have nicer pants on, okay? They're going to be a little bit more business casual or not over the top like faddish, but they're going to be dressed more professional. When they look at you, they're going to look directly at you. You'll know by their handshake. I just told you about their handshake. And when you're using the buzzwords, like, you know what? Wow, I can see that's important to you. You know what we believe in? We believe in giving you the value for what you pay for. And I'm going to save you time because you sound like you have a lot going on the plate. Let me show you how I can save you some time in the decision to go with us. And that distinction is important to an eagle. Because you can say, well, tell me how you're different from your competitor. They'll put you on the spot. Well, I just talked to your competitor. How are you different? You have to be prepared to answer that with an eagle. And if you do well, they're going to believe you. Okay? Does that help with the eagle? All right, let's keep going.
Now let's talk about the peacock. The peacock behavior pattern is supporting and direct. Their pace is fast and spontaneous. Their priority is relationship and interaction with others. Their appearance is stylish and sometimes outrageous or over the top. Their workspace is stimulating, personal, and cluttered. Their source of security is social interaction and others' approval. Their fears are loss of prestige. They measure their personal worth by recognition, status, and the number of friends that they have. Internal motivator is the chase, and they love to be included. Celebrities might be Carol Burnett, Jim Carrey, Johnny Tapia, and Reese Witherspoon. Their strengths, they can be persuasive, enthusiastic, and entertaining. Their weaknesses, they become restless. They ignore details. Time management or discipline can be hard for them. Their typical jobs are sales, entertainer, and bartender. Their irritations are routine and perfectionist. Under stress, they can become sarcastic and superficial. Their decisions are spontaneous, and their motivation is fun and recognition from others.
So what'd you hear? Hi, I'm DJ. Oh my gosh, I'm looking for something like what you do. Tell me more. What does that sound like? Now, if you have an owl in your booth, they're gonna go, okay, too much. You're over the top. They're gonna go, oh my gosh, that person's over the top. Okay, now just because you have some peacock doesn't mean you're that over the top. There's 100% peacock. The older we get, the more universal we become. Okay, so when I say 100% or 80% peacock, it could be someone that's just so fashionable. Whenever I have a friend that is always dressed to kill. She has the purse, the shoes, Linda Dawson. I mean, she's just gorgeous. Okay, she's always dressed to kill. Okay, now she also has eagle behind her, so she's very decision making too. But when you meet an eagle, a peacock, you have to really be careful because image and prestige is everything to this bride or the mother of the bride or the maid of honor. So imagine this. What we can do is make you look really good. Take the worries behind. Because what you're doing is you are the bride or you're the mother of the bride, whoever you're talking to. We want to make your life easy. We want to make sure your people are having fun. We want to make sure you're having fun and leave the worries to us. We'll do the details. You just have fun and know that we got your back. You see the difference in communicating? Because to a peacock, they love friends and image and prestige. They like to be in the know on decisions. They're decision makers also, but you have to be careful because when you don't communicate effectively to them, they'll just go, that person, no, I'm not doing business with them. They just seem too stuffy for me. Okay? You have to be fun. You have to feel. I love when Brad talks about his DJ business. He's like, hey, I'm different. Here's how I distinctively do my business. You know what? I bring two people to the bride. Because what I do, and this is perfect for a peacock, and he is a peacock, y'all. Okay.
No.
And when you see him live up, he is a different character than what you see here. Okay. So what I love about it, he says, here's how I do differently. I'm the person that I have my other guy working on music, but I get your people engaged. I see them not dancing, I guarantee they'll be dancing because you know what I do? I get them involved and I get them engaged and I keep things moving. I keep things fun and lively so you can have fun. Think about that. How important is that to a peacock or an eagle that doesn't want to deal with all the details? That's really important. So use that distinction with those two personalities. Okay? Imagine this. You're going to have fun. We're going to make you look good, memorable, distinctive. Okay? When you're seeing them dressed, they're going to be faddish. Even though it's a Sunday, they may not be in the dresses and all that. You'll know by their shoes. You know by their earrings, you know by their glasses. Not everybody is an owl because they wear glasses. You'll know on their glasses, are they ornate? Are they more, fashionable? Or are they just a wire frame glass like my husband wears that's practical? Or are their shoes practical? That's why a couple of you that said peacock, I looked at your shoes. You notice how I looked at shoes? Peacocks, no matter where they are, will always have fashionable shoes. Okay, not just comfort. Doves will be more comfortable in those shoes. Okay, we'll get on to that next. So think about that the way your prospect dresses. We talked about eagle, business casual, a little bit more professional. We'll talk about peacock, more faddish, their glasses, their jewelry, their purse, their shoes, how they're well put together on clothes, even men. You'll see a man in a starched shirt, or you'll see him in nice square toe shoes that are being more trendy. That's how you'll know how to talk to them. Okay?
One more thing, the peacock will not
Here.
be alone.
Oh,
You will
yeah.
see these crowds and they'll have bridesmaid sashes on. They'll have crowns, they'll have tiaras. That bride that's with these girls is a peacock, just flat out. And she'll come with her, they'll be the ones they're getting 8 tickets, 6 tickets, because she's bringing her whole posse with her.
And you'll know by the laugh. They usually are a little bit more jovial and conversational, and they love stories. So if you're opening up, they love to engage in storytelling. So don't get to business fast with Peacock. Storytell first. Okay, ready?
Okay, so I want you to look at something really quick. DJ, come here. Look at your shoes.
Oh,
Okay, and then look at my shoes.
mine aren't peacocky. Okay.
They are business.
I almost did, but they would have hurt my feet. I think COVID turned me more into down tone. I would have never worn this 2 years ago. Right?
Well, but then heels to me hurt my feet. Okay, so now listen to the dove. My primary is a dove. So behavior pattern is supporting and direct for the dove. Their pace is slow and relaxed. Their appearance is casual, but in compliance. Their workspace is personal, relaxed, and friendly. Their source of security is friendship and support. Their fears are set in change. They measure their personal worth by the depth of relationships and compatibility. Their internal motivator is being needed and involved, and being in involvement, a group. Celebrities, Mary Tyler Moore and Winnie the Pooh. Their strengths are listening, teamwork, and follow through. Their weaknesses, they can be oversensitive, slow to start, and the lack of goal setting. Typical jobs, maybe a social worker, a teacher, or a psychologist. Their irritations, insensitive, impatient people.
Uh-oh.
Under stress, they can be submissive to others and indecisive. Their decisions are made with others, and their motivation is acceptance.
So we talked about two personalities that come with additional people. You have Peacock that has a flock, they're the fun ones. You'll know they're coming down the aisle, they're gonna be laughing a lot, they're entertaining. The dove is a little bit more serious shopper, not necessarily buyer right away, okay? They're looking for the depth of the relationship. Now, when you're dealing with a dove, it's very important to get to that know, like, trust, because it's gonna be deeper. They're not gonna trust as quick as the first two personalities, okay? It's gonna be harder to tap through that wall of protection, like, oh, they're not gonna look you directly in the eye if they shake your hand and stuff like, "Hi, DJ." You see, that's a little bit softer, okay? And I've dealt with business development people that have that handshake, and I go, "Oh, honey, we gotta work on that handshake because you represent your company. You know, you have to look people in the eye if you're out there hunting, you know, because doves, they're not comfortable with a hunter personality. That means when you're working your booth, your boss says, I need you to close at least 5 sales. Okay. Now, Brad, he'll tell me, I really want to get 10 appointments from this thing. I'm like, oh, I got this. Yeah, we got this. I have a competition. We compete a little bit for fun, not serious. You know what I mean? Because I love that conquest of, this bride was awesome, and we got this appointment set. They have a need, and I learned so much about their wedding wants. You know, I love learning about people and how they want to do things differently because I love challenges in weddings, and I know Brad does too, and Heather. So when you're talking to this person, it's like, we don't answer all your questions. Is there anything maybe I didn't cover that you'd like to hear? You see how you're getting them to open up. You have to pull a little bit more. You know, have you ever heard of push-pull communication? Push is where you're pushing out information. Pull is when you're pulling it from your prospect. You're going to have to pull more with a dove and an owl than you have to push. So this is where you have to ask those nice, soft questions and figure out if they're your prospect in your mind. The one thing I love about doves is they're going to be your most loyal buyer if you can win them over. And they're dedicated, and once they, you know, they'll stay with you if they trust you. But getting that trust is very hard. So if you're selling to them, they're going to be dressed as you saw the difference in Stephanie and I. You know, she's going to be in comfortable shoes. She'll be in comfortable clothes. You know, she has a little bit of peacock, so her, she likes that peacock. So she'll talk more than your normal dove owl. Okay, she'll be a little bit more entertaining. She'll laugh, but it won't be loud and distinctive. So what's important for this person is the depth of the relationship. Instead of just having fun, she wants her people to be enjoyable and memorable. That's important to her. You know, when you go to this person's office or something, you see lots of pictures of their family. That's important to them, is the close knit of the circle of influence around them. They hold very tight. Whereas the peacock's a bigger circle, but it's not the depth and close intimacy as it is the number and the quantity. You ever heard of shallow and deep and narrow, shallow and wide and deep and narrow? Deep and narrow is your dove. That relationship is very important, the depth of it. When you have a peacock, it's just the quantity and the shallow and wide. They have a lot of friends, but they may only have a few close friends. Whereas a dove will have more close friends and just a few acquaintances. Okay? Any questions on the demeanor, the dress? They won't look you straight in the eye. They're the hardest to get from zone 2 to zone 3. The other two will cross over that zone if they're interested. This one, don't look them straight in the eye and say, hey, you want to come over here? Don't do that. Don't put them on the spot. Remember, I told you a couple things, like those are doves or owls. Do not put a dove and an owl on the spot. They'll come in because of a game or something they want to learn. Think of education first. That's what you want to think of with a dove. You want to educate what you do. It's not as important on the value and distinction as it is to learn and to understand the importance to see if it works for them. Okay? All right. That comes after the owl.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. No.
She throws this to the punch, because what she's talking about is the attack dove, and we'll talk about that a little later. The good thing is I am a dove, eagle, peacock, because if you would have seen me yesterday, you would have seen me in the fashionable boots, little earrings, still a dove-ish, not outrageous, but we had a holiday party, so I can actually pull that peacock up a little bit, as well as the owl, as the eagle, because I have an owl eagle husband, so you will talk about that too. All right, the fourth personality is the owl. Their behavior pattern is controlling and indirect. Their pace is slow and orderly. Their priority is the task or the process. Their appearance is proper and functional. Their workplace, structured, functional, and proper. Same with their appearance. So their source of security is preparation and attention to detail. They want all of their questions answered. Their fears are criticism of their work. They don't like to be judged. Measures personal worth by precision, accuracy, and being busy. Their internal motivator is competence. Celebrities, Mr. Spock, Bill Gates, and Tiger Woods. Their strengths, planning and organizing, numbers, and knowing the facts. Their weaknesses, they can be perfectionists. Why? Because they know all the facts, or they may be critical. Typical jobs, accountants, engineers, and computer technicians. Their irritations, disorganization, and unpredictability. They don't like spontaneous people. Under stress, they withdraw and become headstrong. Their decisions are well thought out, and their motivation is accuracy and information.
What did you just hear? Passive aggressive. Okay, which is, remember, there's good and bad about everyone. Not picking on the owls. I'm married to a dove owl. Okay, I can tell you many stories. So here's the thing with an owl, they're very introverted. When they shake your hand, it's also going to be soft. They don't like a lot of crowds. My husband, like when I used to have my jingle mingles with 450 people at a holiday party, he's a planter. You know what that means? He'd be in the same spot all night. Everybody go, hey, where's your husband? Oh, he's probably over there, still by that pillar over there. And they'd go, oh, you're so right. It'd be 2 hours later. He's still there because he's not going to get out and socialize like me. Okay, so it's interesting. So when you're talking to this personality, they're not going to look you directly in the eye. They're not going to be comfortable coming from zone 2 to zone 3 easily. Now, here's the cool thing. They are a shopper, but they're a researcher. You remember what she said? They want to make the right decision. They second guess their decision because they want to be frugal, practical, just like how they dress. Think about a traditionalist that was born in the 30s. My father-in-law just passed away last year. He was born in 1930. One of the most frugal, practical, saved everything. He believed that you might need it one day, okay? That's how this mentality is. So my husband's that way. I have to talk him into throwing things away half the time. But when you're talking to this person, it's all going to be about the history, the benefits, the details, exactly what do you do? They want to understand it, not from the big picture down, from here up. Because they're in the trees, they want all that analytical information. They want to know, why should I hire you? And instead of going in like a peacock or an eagle, well, here's what we do. We bring 2 people, we do this, we have fun, we do all that. They want to know, well, you know what? We understand it's important you make the right decision. So what we'll do is we'll sit down with you and I'm going to listen to everything that you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure we do it the right way. Okay, you hear that buzzword, the right way. according to what your likes and preferences are, because not every client is the same. I know that we're distinct in that we work with what you want and need, and we make sure we satisfy all of that with a guarantee, blah, blah, blah. But make sure you back it up, don't just say it. So they want to know, what is the next step? You meet, what are you going to talk about? These are the things they don't want any surprises. Because if you surprise them and it wasn't what you told, they're going to walk away. Okay, well, that person lied to me. No, that's not what they told me when I talked to them. No, that's not how it went. I don't want to do business with them. So you have to think about that, okay? When you do the handshake, when they're dressed, they probably will be in jeans and tennis shoes and a t-shirt, or very casual, okay? Probably similar to a dove, the dove will be a little bit dressier. So when you're talking to the person, we talked about the right way. We talked about answering all the detailed questions, and they are going to ask about price, okay? And you have to answer it because price is important to this person. So if you're more expensive, how do you get over that? When you're with an owl, it's going to be more difficult with this personality than any other. If you're not the cheapest out there, you have to figure out all those benefits of the why, not the value. Don't even worry about the value in the big picture. You got to go into the details, okay? And you have to make sure they've done their research. They probably know your company on the internet as much as you do. So if you have that ambassador in your booth space that can't answer all those questions, it's not the right way to them, okay? So those are the different personalities. So let's talk about a couple obstacles. You heard Stacy say, what about the attack dove, okay? The dove gets along with 95% of the population out there because they like to have friends, relationships. They don't like confrontation. They're very easygoing. They're very loyal. But you do something that offends a dove, they're going to draw a line in the sand and never talk to you again. And you're never going to know why, because they're not going to tell you, okay? Unless they have an eagle behind them. And the eagle's going to go, you tell them what they did. But think about this. So let's say you've been following up and you did something and just maybe you said something that offended them. You won't even know. And you're trying to follow up. Hey, I know your wedding's coming up. I just want to check in on that quote, blah, blah, blah. They're just not getting back to you. You have to figure out. So you know what I do? I do a handwritten letter. I'd say, hi, Dove. I know I've been trying to reach you. I just want to make sure everything's good and I've done everything that you need and I've answered all your questions. I'd love the opportunity for a face-to-face, make it personal. Don't just make it a standard follow-up best practice call with a dove because that's not going to work, okay? Let's talk about the eagle owl or the owl eagle. Who did I say in this room that I thought was an eagle owl or an owl eagle? I don't think, maybe most of them I said dove. What do you think you are? Because I want to get into your dove what? What did I tell you? Okay. What do you think you are? Okay, so I was wrong. I said dove owl, didn't I? Okay, we'll get into that.
I think I could be, you said peacock dove, which I totally agree, but I think I could be the eagle also.
Okay, I didn't get that in your handshake, but it could be the room environment, because as I get to talk to you, usually you can tell within 60 seconds when you're engaging what personality, not just from them walking up and shaking your hand and the way they're dressed, but by the words they use too, okay? So I still think, because your handshake, let me see that handshake again, because if you were a peacock, now you remember I told you you are dressed like a peacock, okay? But I didn't get the eagle, I got the dove because your demeanor is very soft-spoken and your handshake's soft.
Yeah, in the beginning, I feel like that's definitely who I am, but then as it gets to more.
See?
intense
Okay.
things, then I get a
Well,
little
that's
more-
good. You hear that? So my first impression, if she was coming in my booth and I just shook her hand, you want to listen. Remember I said those open-ended questions? Because she said she doesn't come out of her shell until she lightens up later. Okay, so I'm still thinking, I'm thinking I'm right. We'll see. But you know how the eagles are, right? You always think you're right. No, just kidding. But if I were to talk to you more, and because I interviewed someone that was a dove owl, and she was very timid. I even told Stephanie, I don't think we can hire her. She doesn't fit our culture, our personality. We're zany. We're kind of sarcastic, jokingly with each other, like we have fun, like family. I don't know if she fits that. She seems really timid, but she came out of her shell. You You see what I mean? As she was more comfortable. So if I were talking to you, take that 60 seconds and ask those questions and get that person to lighten up, because you may change your first impression. And you have to communicate in the way they do. What did I tell you?
You told me.
Well, what did you think you are first?
I thought I was a peacock, but I was really off. Yeah. You said I was a dove and you weren't sure about my secondary thing.
Yeah,
And I
think an
might be-
owl. What do you think?
I don't
Let me see
know.
your shoes. Stand up for a second. I want to take on your- Come on up here. She
Yeah,
might
come
have
up
a-
where you're.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she's
Look at
wearing
her hair
Converse.
tie. Look at her hair.
I know it's red.
Okay, so I definitely got the first one. The second one's harder to get until you talk to people. Remember, I haven't engaged, usually what I like to do, but because some people got lost and we get started late, what I love to do is walk around the room and talk to you for a few minutes each one before we get started, because then I have a better big picture. It's hard to just base it on a handshake, the way you're dressed and the way you look, because you can change me when we engage. So good. And a dove owl would have never just got up like that. They would have been more embarrassed. So you might have a little bit of peacock behind you. Okay, how about you?
I thought that I was a dove owl,
We should be turning the camera. I'm sorry.
but I joked with Brandy that I was written between and I said pigeons.
Nah, but did I tell you that?
Yeah, you
Okay.
said dove and then leaning towards owl.
Okay.
So I
You're my
said I
challenge.
was an eagle, and then peacock, but now that I heard it, I think I'm a peacock, because I do make decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm very straight to the point, and I want everything my way, and I'm very controlling, so I thought more eagle.
Ooh, I didn't get that from, let me see that handshake again.
It's, well,
I
so
didn't
it
get
takes
that.
a little bit, right? So it's like, you have to be in your own comforting, like your own comfort zone.
But that's.
So
what
when
does
I'm
speak
telling
it.
you about what I do,
Yeah.
and when I'm taking control of the situation, you're definitely gonna feel the ego come out. But I think I'm gonna sit back and observe like a peacock until I find everything out, and then the ego comes out too. As far as my shoes, I have 1,000 at home, and I wear really big bright earrings, but I'm also very, I'm the one who's gonna get the job done. That means I'm gonna be very comfortable,
an
I'm gonna
eagle.
be climbing stuff and doing
That's
some
an eagle.
crazy stuff, but I'm gonna be comfortable while I'm doing it. So that's
Okay.
where I dress like this.
All right. So do you see how she's like, this is the way, that's what you have to know. You cannot offend an eagle because they know exactly what they are and what they want. So good for you for speaking up. Okay, how about you?
You said that I was an eagle
I
dove,
want to know what you thought
Or-
first.
dove eagle. What's that?
I want to know what you thought first.
Oh, what did I think first?
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I lean to be more ambiverted, so I really can thrive in both that
Work.
public
Let's do
work or be at home alone and feel accomplished and value in that as much as the other.
So, okay.
So
So what do you think you are? Which one?
I think naturally I'm a dove. I think by survival, I'm an eagle. And I think that I had to learn those skills just, I was by myself young on. So I think that it was a coping or a survival technique to
So what's your
learn those.
natural? Let's talk about natural, because adaptive can
Uh-huh.
put a lot of stress on you. If you have more of a 30-point differentiation on your disc analysis,
Uh-huh.
if you're more than 30 points difference between natural and adaptive, that causes internal stress.
And I think that's why I'm so ambiverted, because I can really thrive in a public, like really, I can speak in front of thousands of people and be just fine. But I find just as much value as being by myself or with one person.
Okay. Corner, you two, I had you two the opposite. Tell me what you think. What you think you are.
Go ahead first.
I think I'm both. I think you nailed it on the head. I think eagle and peacock are a combination.
I think peacock first. And I think him eagle first. Mhm.
I got my ass
Because look
kicking
at the way
boots
she's
on.
dressed. Can you come up here for a minute? Yeah. This is a perfect example of it. Okay. Yeah. Well, hello, peacock. Tell me she's not fashionable and trendy.
Flip your hair like you always.
No. Look, her earrings,
She has a brooch.
her matching, look at her shoes, they're fashionable. So you, okay. Hold on, the only thing she didn't do is roll her ankles. What kind of socks do you have on?
I have probably really thick warm socks.
But they're still trendy, they still have a pattern.
Uh-huh.
Okay, hello, peacock first.
Peacock.
Just saying, it's written on the outside. Okay, how about you?
I think you're right, eagle, peacock.
Yep.
I got a military background, so very structured, very to the point. get things done. That's how I handle business. I lay out my timeline, and of course I say, of course I'm on your timeline. However, this is how I like to conduct business, and you usually get on board with that.
Because you're
statement.
persuasive.
Yeah.
So is the Peacock. Okay, Brad.
Well,
Tell them.
apparently I'm a peacock.
You're a well, you do like to have fun. I think you're a dove peacock personally, because you don't like that, on the spot, have to make a decision and ROI right away. You're more of the relationship, okay?
But when I get.
Whereas your wife, I think she's more of, well, what's this gonna do? Think about it. But you have that dove, that eagle dove, okay?
When I get to my event,
That peacock comes up.
the eagle comes out too.
Okay, but see, that's an adaptive. My natural, believe it or not, is eagle dove at work. Because I want to make sure everybody's getting along, everybody feels valued, but it is about the results, because I'm a business owner, I have to do overhead, I have to know, what my people are doing and create accountability and systems. But when I'm with my friends or when I'm at a trade show, it's an eagle peacock. I love to have fun. Like we went to an event last night and I hadn't seen some of my friends in 2 years. My peacock came out. I was like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? I was so excited to see friends and faces without masks. Sorry. I had COVID pneumonia. I was hospitalized. And I am so glad. I want to get COVID in the rearview mirror. Okay. I'm done with COVID. Done. So.
Oh, and also when I get home, the owl comes out because the slacks, the shoes.
That's dove. That's dove.
That's dove.
That's dove.
Or not.
So do I.
Looking like a true wife.
But you know what?
The comfort does come out.
I really feel that COVID has taken all of us down a few notches on our dress code. Remember I told you I would have never dressed like this to give a seminar before? That just wasn't my persona. But now I don't mind because it's accepted and this is the new way. Even though I dress it up just a little, but I'm still comfortable.
You have pants on.
I have pants on. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. We all go there. All right. Any questions so far? Because this works, doesn't it, Brad?
Oh, yeah.
Personalities and understanding your target audience, understanding how to communicate. So I didn't get past the eagle, owl, the owl eagle really quick, so we can recap.
There's one thing I've sat through this presentation several times. And like, I always come back because you got to get the refresher on it because lots of things that I need to remember when it comes to dealing with my clients. And so I come back to this every time I can. I've sat through this several times. It's always helpful.
And that's something that when you're work with us, you can come anytime we're doing this. Okay. I'm not going to bring in people who don't work with us. Then it kind of loses its, too many people. But anytime you're working with us, if it's in summer and we're doing one of those, and even if you're not in that show, please come back because it's important for your business overall to get those refreshers like Brad's talking about. So keep that in mind. Whenever you see that we're having one of these, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, this is my second time and I'm definitely having new ideas.
Well, I don't
from
do
what
it
I
the
did
same.
last time
Have you
too,
noticed
so,
that?
mhm.
They'll do the same.
Well, and I was telling her when you brought up the birds, I'm like, she's gonna do this. Like, I remember, and you actually told me to do stuff last time too. So, but I was more dressed up last time. That
Okay,
was 2 years ago.
Here's my question really quick, because I promised you I'd give you an 11. May I go to 11:10? Just want to make sure I have your permission. Okay. Okay. So really quick. Hey. So I want to talk really quick so we can move on. Eagle owl. Anybody feel they're an eagle owl? Here's the issue. An eagle, decisive, decision-making, value, task, result. Got to get it done. Checklist, right? It's like I just met with my assistant this morning. I said, Ashley, these are the 5 things I need you to do before 1:30 today. And here's the priorities. Boom, 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 boom. And here's why. Okay. So I came in this morning knowing that while I'm doing this. So the owl goes, whoa, eagle, I don't think you got it in the right priority. Are you sure you made that list right? Are you sure you don't want to do number 3 before number 1? Because I think, or when you buy something, eagle says, I'm not a shopper. I need a new suit. I need it for this event. I'm going to go buy it. And then you buy it. The owl goes, oh, I think you paid too much money for that. Are you sure? I think you should have shopped around more. I think you could have got a better deal. So you get a little key frustration going on in your interior mind because the eagle is impatient. The owl is more passive aggressive to where they want to look at things. They want to take their time more, but if they get frustrated, they get more aggressive. Okay, so that's where these two can have confrontation. Okay, now opposite, owl, eagle. The owl is gonna, my husband's an owl, okay, dove owl. He wants to get on, he wants to research the best price for the bikes. Okay, he's gonna go to 25 sites. He's gonna think about it, harbor it for a few days. And he's gonna do it again, because he wants to make sure he makes the right first decision. The eagle goes, would you just make a decision? Okay, so those are those things you have to watch out for with clients because, or prospects, because they will speak up and you'll hear them get a little authoritative. So I like what he said in the back, when he said he's an eagle. I can't remember his name. Hello.
Sorry.
I'm not. No, I'm picking on you because I know you're an eagle and you can take it. So you said you have a checklist and you know you work on timelines and you're in control. So let's talk about that on a sales perspective. This is so true. Eagle peacocks are the best closers ever. Why do you think? If you need to close something, you want an eagle peacock in your booth. The eagle's about the art, but you want a high eagle too. You want both of them pretty high, over 80. And it doesn't matter which one first because they both are good closers. What you don't want is a peacock with an owl or a peacock with a dove because they don't want to rush into a close. They want to make sure the person's comfortable and educate, and they're a little bit slow to close. So this is where you have to be careful. So when you're selling, I'm an eagle peacock. And if I'm dealing with an eagle, oh, you and I, if you had to buy something, we could close it in 5 minutes because you know what you want. I know what you want. I'd show it to you, give you the number, give you the quote, and close it in 5 minutes. I've had an appointment like that before with an eagle. And they love it. They're like, oh my gosh, you've listened to me. You know exactly what I want. I'm going to buy it. Okay, you have to be careful because we can, and I'm going to be honest with you, eagles are very good at letting you feel you're in control, but we're guiding you on the journey. So you think you're in control, but you're not. Does that make sense?
I was gonna say, there's like one instance that pops in my mind is, so I'm a realtor, and I can walk through a house and I can guide someone from one room to another,
Yeah.
talk about this, and before you know it, they're in the backyard and they're like, I feel like I love this place, but I don't know if I saw everything. Walk through everything, and I think that's a little bit of like eagle peacock also because you can guide them, persuasion, and still let them feel comfortable that.
Yes. So I guess I said the wrong word because I don't want it to sound manipulative. The persuasion is really good in the personality with the eagle peacock and the peacock eagle. They know how to listen and they know how to figure out that person and how to communicate pretty quickly with them. The problem is if you're under stress as an eagle and you're impatient, you can be a little forceful and you can be a little too brash. Like, hey, like I'm very careful with this agency. I'm working with in Nova Scotia for a local client that has this energy company there. And this is the truth. They have to close tomorrow because I've got all the timetables down and it'll be rush fees. And I'll let them decide. I'll say, hey, we can expedite the shipping if you're not comfortable in closing. But I want to be careful because he's a dove eagle. So he understands that timetable, but I let him know at the very beginning. I said, when's your show? Let's look at the advanced warehouse. Okay, it has to be there by 14th. I have to ship it by the 11th. Here's how many production days. So here's what we're looking at within a 2-day span. So I'll let them know that in the beginning. You know what I mean? You work backwards on timelines and eagles and peacocks will appreciate that. But peacocks will wait to the end hour or the day after to get you the information. Okay, so you have to balance that too. But those are the kind of things I want to teach you as you're dealing with appointments and sales and communication. So now that you've learned the details, let's talk about generational. I'm just going to touch on this. Traditionalists born prior to 1946. Don't see any in this room. Boomers between 46 and 64. Raise your hand. Okay. No, you're an Xer, bud. Generation X, 65 to 76. Xer.
76
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Xers,
Oh,
yeah, okay. Millennials, 77 and 94. Thanks. Okay, all right. Gen 2020, 1995 or after. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Okay, so here's the thing. Think about it. When you're dealing with personalities and generational differences. You know what it's really about? How do you play nice in the sandbox together in the work world? Okay? So remember, generational differences play as much of a role as personalities. And I just want to give you a snapshot. So here's some important things. Generational relationships. Connectivity plus relationships plus engagement equals generations. So what do we mean by that? Okay? Whoops. I'll just not stop. So, well, let me go back to this. Sorry. So when you're dealing with relationships, what's important? Whatever you were doing between the years 8 and 10 years old really dictates the generation that you relate to most. Did you know that? Think about that. Even though you were born as a boomer, you could think like a boomer and all that, but you might relate more to an Xer or a traditionalist. Let me tell you why. My husband relates more to a traditionalist. He was raised by traditionalists, so was I, but he's a little bit older than me, 5 years. And everything he does is old school, and it's definitely at a slower pace. The technology isn't quite there. I had to teach him the other day how to scan the code on the TV to click it to go register for something. Or I have to teach him how to talk text. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, where'd you come from now? Like the dinosaur age? So, and I'm more like an Xer because when I was younger, I'm a little bit like you. I had to grow up quick. I was a latchkey kid. I take care of my brother. Both my parents worked. We're boomers. A lot of their parents, mom stayed home, things like that. So whatever you relate to the most reflects your true generational personality. Another thing is we have a Gen Y here. She was raised by traditional parents. Now, you usually don't see too much of Gen Y with 70-something-year-old parents, okay? They're usually boomers or younger. So she has more values that are old school too on technology. Like she was telling a story yesterday, she was trying to learn how to get the internet on her computer. Well, how do you get the internet on the computer? This is years ago, but things like that. So it really depends on your parents' age, how you were raised, and then what you're doing between years 8 and 10. So always know if you have a traditionalist mentality, it's manners for everything, personal thank you notes, pick up the phone, don't text, email unless they tell you. Make sure if you do a meeting, it's more formal, it's not in a collaborative setting and a lot of noise going around, it's one-on-one. If you have a boomer, remember they're you have a big range. If you notice the ranges of boomers and millennials are almost the same widespread years. You've got, what were the years, Steph? You've got boomers, 46 to 64, millennials, 77 and 94. Biggest gap in years, so you have a lot of them. Of course, millennials want the same thing as boomers. They want the corner office, they want the title, they want the big paycheck, just like the boomers did, okay? The difference is they saw their boomer parents working too hard and they're like, I'm not working 50, 60 hours a week. I want fun in my life. I want experience, pain points, things like that. So when you're dealing with these brides and the generational differences, make sure you understand, and you don't want to ask them, how old are you? Never ask a woman that. I don't care. I tell people I'm 61 years old. I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm 61. I may look it, but I don't feel it. Okay. So the thing is, when you're talking to people, you have to understand how to communicate also in their generational, because the mannerisms and the follow-up, ask that key component that Scott said, how do you want to be communicated with and respected? Respect all youth, age, and all that. They're all want things in their own communication. So if you're a boomer, you probably, if they're an older boomer, pick up the phone, then email, then text, okay? Make it sound bites when you're talking to a boomer. Talking to a traditionalist, you can go in paragraphs all day because they love to read. Boomer scan, okay? If you go into an Xer, you probably want to text first, email second, pick up the phone third. You definitely don't want to pick up the phone probably first, last. You probably want to do text, DM, and then email third, phone last. Some of them will pick up the phone if they're raised. I know all 3 of my kids, I feel like I have to text first, okay? Then you get into the Z's, you definitely need to text, okay? Just that's it. Okay, I call it the silent generation.
Now, one thing with studies have shown that no matter what they are, most people will revert to when you've got somebody, a couple you're engaging with, they will all go back to email. They want that contract and email, even if they're her age, they're going to go back to email. So you will eventually get back there because they want things in writing at the end point.
Yeah, and the thing is, you gotta remember when you email, remember I told you about the proof point that I have, that half the emails don't get through and it's frustrating. You know what? If you send an important email with a contract, don't assume they got it, because you can lose business. What you do is you either communicate in their method, text, I just want to make sure you got the information I promised you. And then do that follow-up, the phone or the email again if you don't hear, things like that. Don't assume they got the message, verify, okay? We're gonna go on to post-event.
So when you're at the show, get all those leads, what do? Do you just sit on them? Do they sit on your desk? Do they sit in your car? Or are they even with your display? Are they with your display now in the warehouse? You want to make sure that this is your chance to really shine as a company. Your follow-up is very, very important. So you want to make your follow-up timely. Don't wait. Next day. What we do at the show is when we get our leads, we will actually categorize them, A, B, or C. A means it's hot. We're going to get on those first. B means we might have a couple days. And then C, those are the non-urgent ones. You want to get to all of them, but prioritize them and do not wait. Make it timely. Also set up a system of, we work on the 2 2s and 2s. Contact them the first day, then the day after, then 2 days later or a week later. You start to set up the process for your follow-up. Use the information from the lead card generation. So we're going to show you here in a second a lead card that we use at a show. But also in those pre-qualifying questions that DJ talked about earlier, you can kind of get an idea of where they stand. So make sure you use that information. I just use their business card right off the bat. A, red dress, glasses, dark hair, interested in this. That way, when I contact this person, you're the gal in the red dress. I told you I would get back to you today with this information. When do you want to set up a talk or a meeting or a call? That type of thing. Don't be afraid to just jot it down. Jog your memory. To help with recall, reinforce your exhibit theme in the follow-up. Our logo, our name. Sometimes a picture of your booth even helps, or a picture of yourself in your booth. Something that helps jog their memory.
Hey, Steph, can I have in here for a second? I love what Stephanie started doing. Sometimes when people come visit our booth and we have a great conversation, say, hey, do you mind if I get a picture of all 3 of us so I can remember your face? Yeah, think about it. They don't mind if they like you. And that's something you can remember what they look like, their face, and you can make it more personal.
Yeah, just at our regular exhibitor show, that was important to us because we like to get to know our manufacturers. We talk to them on the phone every day, but when we finally get to see a face or meet a face, let's take a picture so that we remember each other better that way. Always respond in the way the prospect told you. This is important, and Scott said this earlier. Make sure that when you're filling out that information, what is the best way to contact you? How do you respond? That is a valuable piece of information. And if there's any other question you need to ask that one. How should I contact you? What is the best way to have you respond to me? They will respect you for that question. They won't be offended by that question.
Sometimes they'll throw you a loop and they'll say they want to be texted and then they'll email you instead. Before you get in touch with them, stay in that method of communication until they suggest otherwise.
And we actually note it in our CRM database when we add them into our system, communicate via. And that's just, we also do phonetic in their names. We put it in there in parentheses. Trying to think of one of the more interesting ones.
For you. Pronounce D-A-R-S-H-I-T. It's Darshit, not Darshit.
Yeah. And so every time she says Darshit, I'm like giggling in the back. And you have to add that. It's like a Shih Tzu. A Shih Tzu, same thing. A little dog. I have a little Shih Tzu. And, so you have to, we do that phonetically to help our coworkers out, to help them pronounce the names the first time they talk to them. So that's very important. So as we go into a lead card, A lot of lead generation is going technical. So you might have something in your phone that you're typing in or an iPad that they're typing in their information rather than having a physical lead card. We also use their business cards, like down here, we'll just staple their business card right to it. But make your lead generation information or questions specific to what you're going to need from them right off the bat. It's like when somebody calls in, my coworker has an idea of questions, need date. When is your wedding? When's your wedding? That's an important date because we have to start working backwards from that date. What do you already have in line, or what do you already have in your booth space? What do you already have planned for your wedding? Do you have your dress? Do you have all this? What are you currently looking for? What is your pain point? That was the word I was looking for earlier, and DJ said it just a few minutes ago. What is your pain point? What can we help you with? Like what Heather said.
And one thing, when you have an iPad, do not hand it to them.
Oh,
Yes, okay? People steal. We had a wheel of cheese stolen at one of our shows. If they will steal cheese, they will steal an iPad. Do not hand them anything like that. We also are using a app Broad Scan where they can scan a QR code and that will exchange information automatically. It's two-way communication that's exchanged right then. So some of the stuff you might get from that, but be very careful about how you're doing this. Also, we found at the show, when you're asking too many questions, they won't want to spend the time.
Yep.
Make it short.
5 questions max.
I always say on what the information we gather, the more questions I ask, the more they lie. They will do the same to you.
So yeah, find out those 5 most important questions. For me, need date. Need date is the main question I want to know, because that's going to help me get their timeline, because that is that push communication that we talked about, where you're pushing the information instead of having to pull it so hard. Okay. So when you always can use technologies as lead retrieval if the show offers, but if not available, you can do something similar to what we did. And also, if they fill it out, it's like the card drop. Drop your card in, fill something out and put it in. Okay. Be consistent, personalize it, and be systematic. Like I said, I wrote down red dress. DJ has a story for that. We'll wait on that. But when you personalize it and you let them know you remember them, that makes a huge difference in building that trust there. And then
I'm going to jump in here too. With the time frame that you're talking about, look at that wedding date that they give you, because right after the show, when everybody gets the list, everybody's bombarded with information. If I'm looking for a DJ, I'm not, and my wedding's in 2023, I'm not going to be looking for that DJ yet. I'm not. Take account what their wedding date is and back up.
Unless you're enabled.
Yeah. And then you're just going to hammer them the whole time. But with that list, back out how often in their statistics it will show you when people will traditionally shop for X or Y before their wedding. Back it out and take that as your timeline, not as soon as you get the list. Everybody will have that. Also, on the list, I will tell you who came and who didn't come. Do not send out a blanket email that said it was so great to meet you at the show, because I never went. Okay, so be sure you know that, because that whole thing of being personal, that makes a huge difference, because people will be like, what a fake. Delete.
there you go, exactly. So then to kind of wind out, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
That's so true.
You make it personal.
So I want to end with this story. She was telling about a lady in a red dress. Back in 1996, when I was barely in the industry a few years, I was working a show in El Paso, and this lady came up. I was all by myself. I wasn't an employer yet. And she said, she walks up, she goes, "Hey, I'm in a hurry, but I need to get a new display on a show next month. Can I give a packet of information?" Back then, we did a packet like this thick, right? So I gave her a packet and I said, "When do you want me to follow up with you?" She said, "Can you call me Tuesday?" I'm like, "Sure, thank you for stopping by." I gave her my card. So I wrote on the card, red dress, dark hair, glasses, red suit, in a hurry, packet, show next month. That's all I wrote, really quick. So I followed up on Tuesday, like I said I would. I said, "Hi, so-and-so, Barbara." I said, "Hey, this is DJ with the exhibit." She goes, "Oh my God, No, I said, she goes, oh, I thought you'd forget about me. I said, no, weren't you wearing a red suit and dark hair and glasses? You're very distinctive. I remember you. She's like, oh my gosh, it impressed her. All I did was write the details on the notes, okay? And do you know she was one of my biggest clients and evangelists for years. She worked for Cisco in El Paso. That's that sale. I think it was tomorrow. So it's okay. I'll call it back. So anyways, those are the things that are really important. Let them know, let them make them feel special. So that's how we end. We want to thank you. We went over, but we did stay within 2 hours. And I appreciate you. Ashley, you can go. Do you have any questions that I need to know? I hope the audience, when you're listening, I really hope you learned a value. Type in the chat to Ashley, or if you have any last minute questions, let us know, because this is your time.
I've got 2 more things to say real quick. As far as that follow-up, please follow up. Right now, I'm hearing from brides who say, I called 4 people and no one's called me back. What?
Yeah.
You've got someone asking for information and you're not returning a phone call? They're calling me to complain about the lack of follow-up right now. I know a lot of you vendors are busy, but follow up with these people. If you said you're gonna call on Tuesday like DJ did, follow up, call on Tuesday.
And with the
Don't
labor
blow-
shortage, if you can't handle the business, admit it. They would rather you say
Yeah,
that up
exactly.
front than leave them on.
Exactly.
That's like my
Transparency
biggest
and
pet
honesty.
peeve.
Exactly. The only other thing, this is about the price issue. Everyone will be asked the price issue. We are in a Groupon world where that's all people are bombarded with is how much is it? Get this deal. People love deals and freebies, but you can also give that in terms of value added, adding in things versus cutting down on price. Be careful about that. Talk to me about what you're offering if you want to, but also be prepared for that question, because frankly, these group of brides have never bought wedding dresses, DJs. They've never booked the venue before. They don't know what you do. They don't understand how it works. They don't know even what it should cost. So the one thing they know they can ask and feel comfortable asking is how much is it?
Yep.
Because everybody knows that question. So it's kind of a starting point for everyone. And make sure you know how you're going to address it, because there are different ways to address that issue.
And I think it's important to not be timid on it. So when I first came on to Nature Point, I was really hesitant on what I would say the pricing. Yeah.
There's
And I was hesitant on the pricing, and that little bit of hesitation made them wonder what was going on. Or if you
Yep.
didn't answer them at all, now you're not going to trust me because you feel like I'm hiding something. I tell them I'm not afraid to say the price. I tell them why. I tell them the reason why they want to pay it, and then they like it better.
or give them a range, give them a
Right.
high and low and an average, but do not skirt the issue, because if you start going, well, then they think they can get a deal. Then we're in Mexico on the streets and and they're like, let's barter. Ooh, no, we don't barter.
I do want to tell you, the Eagle is a planner. I know that I'm already planning my 2023 Euro shop trip in about 2 more months. So just saying, if you are a DJ, and don't bombard them right away, because they're going to get bombarded. But you can say something like on your follow-up a week later, hi, Miss Eagle, it's great to meet with you. I know you're waiting time to this day. Would love to keep you on file. Let me know how often you would like me to check in. And we love the opportunity to learn the business, something like that. But just be honest. Okay, thank you,
But
everybody.
thank you, DJ. You're awesome. And Stephanie, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
And they are great at with questions, taking questions too, if you have anything.
Right.
They're a resource, except she's gonna be leaving town, but everybody here can help.
And
we're all a
questions y'all have, because I didn't hear any questions along the way. Y'all
Brad was
promised
gonna
me
say something.
in the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is on the price issue.
Sure.
Alan Berg, who lots of us know who he is, and some of us don't. He's a wedding sales professional. He worked with the Knot for several years. He said lots of people will ask that question about price because they don't have a better
Is there a
question to ask. So you guide them through different things.
No questions at this time, teacher.
along
Okay, you can go
with
ahead and
tackling the
end.
price question.
Yeah, so don't be stumped by it. Be ready for some of these questions that you're gonna be asked. You know you're gonna be asked that. You know you're gonna be asked a lot of those things.
I always tell my people, because I've been in this man for